Hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
I hope you're fine. Hi, Ellie. Hi, Safi. Hi, Darren.
Hey, else.
For
Hey.
some reason, I'm still having trouble sharing. Here we go. Now I can share. All right. So now you should see my screen.
Got it.
Can you? Cool. So welcome to this week's Ask the Trainer session. And yeah, today, again, we have an open session so you can ask your questions. Yeah, today's session will be just 45 minutes. We have to wrap up a little bit earlier. But other than that, let me take care of the housekeeping. So first of all, if you go to the Maxon events page that you can find under news and events, you can see all of these nice events and webinars that we are doing, and everything here is for free, everything that we are hosting. And there is one thing that we especially want to point out here, which is the 3D motion show next week, starting on Tuesday. So definitely check that out. There's going to be a ton of exciting stuff in there. And also next week, we're starting with a new hands-on series with Ellie and Matt, who are going to make an introduction to Cinema 4D. So if you're new to Cinema 4D, this is the best way to start. And also there is still a color grading hands-on session with Max going on. And of course, every Friday, VFX and Chill, so there's a lot of exciting stuff. As always, if you missed one of our sessions or want to rewatch it, just go to the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel. We host everything here that we are doing. And of course, again, we want to give away t-shirts. So you can get a t-shirt for free. And all you need to do is in the GoToWebinar interface, you go to the handout section. And in there, there's a PDF with a link to the Maxon merchandise shop, including a coupon code that you can use for checkout. And this way you don't have to pay for the t-shirt, only for the shipping. Cool. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the housekeeping. I think I didn't forget anything. So yeah, let's jump into Cinema 4D, because I still owe you something from one of the Ask the Trainer sessions from like 1.5 months ago. We were talking about lip sync, and yeah, I couldn't finish what I wanted to show. So I want to finish that today. And I have this little smiley scene here. It's pretty much the same one that I built in that session. But I added the head, and I added a few controls here. So basically, I set up the mouth with 3 pose morphs: a mouth open shape, a mouth narrow shape, and a mouth wide shape. And then I rigged it all together just to have 2 sliders. And if you want to see the espresso, it's not too fancy. We're reading the user data tag here, so these parameters here, and then the mouth open shape will directly go into the pose morph, and then the mouth narrow and wide are both clamped, so that one direction of the slider is taking the narrow shape later and the other one the wide shape. So that's pretty much it. And what I can do now is I can open the mouth here, and using this slider, I can narrow the mouth and widen it. And so back then, 6 weeks ago or so, the question was, how can I get started with lip sync? And well, those 3 mouth shapes are pretty much the most basic shapes that you need for lip sync. But as you can see here, this is a pretty unemotional lip sync because we don't have any emotions in here. This one is looking a little bit like a smile. But other than that, yeah, we should add emotional, yeah, like morphs as sliders here as well, and to the pose morph tag, of course. But when it comes down to lip sync itself, the whole basics are mouth open, mouth close, mouth wide, mouth narrow, and yeah, this way I animated a character for a client I had like 10 years ago, where I had to produce like 7 minutes of animation in 3 weeks of time, and I used those very simple mouth shapes to get the lip sync yeah, correct, or at least close to correct. I used the very same setup plus emotions. Yeah, so what you would need in addition to that is just a few more shapes, like for an M, for an F, for an L if you have a character with a tongue. There are a few phonemes that have special mouth shapes, but other than these that I mentioned, I think, yeah, I missed the B. But you can get pretty far with these. So yeah, let's just use this line here, hello guys, and let's animate it using this very basic lip sync setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the animate layout, and in here I want to start with the mouth narrow and wide slider. So I start here, and everything that is in this direction of the slider is E and I, and in this direction it's O and U. And A or A is just this one here. So we start with hello guys. So first, well, it's the whole line. So we start with the hello. So we do a narrow here and set a keyframe, and then a wide, and then a narrow after that. So this is also already our hello. And then a guys. What is guys? Guys is mouth open, and when you come to the E, then the mouth will be wide, and with the S even more. So I set it to pretty wide and move the keyframe to say here, and then I set it back to the default simply by right-clicking the arrows here and setting a keyframe. So if I talk that line here, hello guys, we're almost there. Now we have the mouth open. Of course, if we start talking, we usually open the mouth a little bit. So just open it slightly. And with the O, yeah, let's open it a little bit more, like so. And then somewhere here in the middle, this is our A. So we open up the mouth, and I think somewhere here we should completely close it again, like so. Well, maybe a little bit earlier. And I think we already have it now. It's hello guys. Can you see that? So it's pretty simple to get away with those basic shapes. And if you have a very reduced character, like the one that I created here, then that's totally fine. Again, hello guys. Beautiful. I love it. However, are there any questions already on this? Because
on this,
otherwise,
I can't find anything.
Okay. Last week, there was a question in the background from Drake in our color session, and he asked about camera movement and camera animation. And in particular, he had the situation where he had a character and he wanted to have a turnaround camera movement starting from, well, somewhere close to the ground to something that is yeah, higher up. So maybe let me jump back to standard layout and let's create a new scene. And I'm gonna search for one of the characters. Yeah, let's just use our rigged one, or at least this one here. So this is one of the cool things about the asset browser. You don't have to have all of the libraries on your computer. I'm downloading it right now, and once it's finished downloading, it will show up in your scene. So yeah, starting from now, we will talk about camera work. Cool. So we have this character, and we want to create a camera movement, a camera flying camera that is going a little bit like this. And there are multiple ways of doing this, but usually what I do is I just create a hierarchy consisting of nulls and the camera itself to make this happen, to make it as easy as possible. So usually I start with the camera and with a null and another null. So the second null is going to be our target. And in order to make the camera always look to the target, we need to go to animation tags, target, and then we just drag and drop the target object in here. And now the camera is looking at this null here. If I move it up, you can see that we can now control the angle where the camera is looking to. So the next thing is somehow we need to rotate around this character. And this is what I usually do by creating this hierarchy. So first of all, I place the camera in here, and usually I also go to a very frontal view. And let me have a look at the coordinates here. Yeah, we will zero out these values here. That's okay, good. And yeah, now it's just a matter of rotating this this null here. That's our rotator, and the camera from bottom to top. So what I can do now is I can start, let's say, here, and set a keyframe for the position, and then at frame 90, zoom out and set another keyframe, let's say here, so that we have this movement. And then the next thing I do is I use the rotator to rotate the whole thing. So with the rotator selected, I think it's the heading. We animate the heading. Let's say we do one full circle here. And here we go. That's our camera movement now. We could also start, of course, at some other values. Now let me switch to animate layout again and to the F curves. And in the rotator, we can now define where we want to start. Maybe we want to start from here, and then we have this movement. So what you can see here is pretty basic when it comes to rigging, but it's also very effective because you just need a few tracks. You need one track for rotation and another track for the positions. Well, 3 tracks for the position of the camera. So that's also very easy to sync with each other, so that that it's all looking good in the end, that it's all fluent movement and so on. All right, so the next thing that I wanted to show, that it's always helpful if you have a a camera rig running, so, or available. And let me leave this camera, or let's get rid of all of this completely. So what I want to show you is how I would create a camera rig so that you can animate the camera just by animating position values and nothing else. So, well, again, same thing. I create a camera and I create 3 nulls. One is the target again. One is our tripod, and one is our dolly. All right, and now let me set the camera to default coordinates by using reset transform. So the camera is now looking towards the plus Z axis. And I want to set the target so that it's in that direction as well. So once we set up the target, that it's that's working. All right. And the other thing I want to do is let me also get rid of the character here. The other thing that I want to do is usually when you have a 3D camera, it's always rotating around this point here. That's the nodal point. This is where all of the rays are somewhere in the optics of the camera, but not at the sensor, and also most of the time not where the camera is usually rotating, because if you have a tripod or something, the center of rotation is somewhere here and not here in the nodal point. This is the point that you would use if you are shooting like a panorama image for HDR eyes and so on. So what I do is I take the camera and move it a little bit forward, like so. And then I create my hierarchy. So the camera will be a child of the tripod, and the tripod is going to be a child of the dolly. All right, and now we need to set up some tags. For the camera, I won't create the target tag because this is going to be on the tripod. What I do here is I go to rigging tags and just create a protection tag so I don't accidentally move the camera. And then on the tripod, I go to animation tags, create the target tag, and just set up the target object. And now you can see if I move this target object that the camera is rotating, but it's not rotating around its nodal point, but around this point here. So this is nice. That's what I wanted. I'm also going to reset, or not reset the coordinates, but freeze them so that when I reset them, that they're always ending up here, or the target is always ending up here. So I'm going to freeze everything. And now if I move this target around and then I click reset transform, it will always be here. Cool. Almost finished. The last thing I want to do is I go to the camera settings, and under object, I define the target here as my focal target. This way, I cannot only control where the camera is looking at using the target, but also where the focal point is. That's also cool. And that's pretty much it. So if I now use the dolly is the one that I use for moving the camera around. The tripod is actually something I don't have to touch necessarily. And yeah, the target itself is where I define where the camera is looking at. So, and the good thing about this setup is that it allows me to create a camera movement that is entirely based on position, well, on the change of a position of the camera and of the tripod. So now, just to show you how quickly you can animate with this, and also how accurate, I'm gonna set it up a little bit. So let's say we want to have a look at his head, and we want to start from, well, somewhere here. Let's also go from a lower angle to yeah, to like a headshot. So I go to the animate layout, and I'm gonna just animate the positions. So I deactivate all of the other stuff. I go to frame 0, and then I set a keyframe for the camera. And right now it's looking at his head, completely at his face. So that's also something we want to change later. And then let's go and move the camera to something like this. And it's always a good idea to open up a new panel, and in that panel set the camera to our main camera. So here we go. Now we can see what we are doing, and I'm going to place this here because this is where I have space at the moment. Cool.
So one question.
Yes.
I hope I understand it right. Before you dive deep, I don't want to align to a helix. I want to record the hyperfluid movement I can achieve with my mouse while I'm moving through around in my scene in a camera rig. So I think you have shown it. Could that be done also with Cappuccino while you are on the left side of your perspective view from the outside and record first position, maybe later than the target? And you could also maybe do the rotation. I hope.
Well, the rotation is set via the target.
You could bank it.
So
Dutch angle, for example, that's possible if you don't have an up vector in it, and the up vector could be then also cappuccinoed, so to say.
Yeah. So yeah, that's also one of the things that this setup is allowing me to do. So if I need the Dutch angle, I can always jump into the protection tag and just unlock usually it's the banking, right?
Banking is the only one that is possible when you have a target tag, because the other two angles are determined by the target tag.
Well, in this case, everything is possible because the target tag is on the tripod and not at the camera.
Okay, right. But there's a problem when you do it that way. After a while, everything is a little bit wacky in terms of angles. When you rotate too much away from the target. But
well, the point is that well, I love this approach. I used this rig like for 10 years in production, and it served me pretty well. So that's why I love this and why I wanted to share it, because it's really taking away a lot of trouble when you want to animate stuff like cameras.
It was not meant as a critique. It was only just to expand where we could go if someone really messes around with it. And
yeah, absolutely, we can show that. We can show that.
Okay.
So yeah, let me quickly finish this. This
is also a really great example of just how nulls can be used so effectively for people that are new to Cinema 4D.
Yeah. So here we go.
Baron had the question: do you keyframe the dolly and the target?
I usually just keyframe the dolly and the target. Those are the two that I animate.
And she asked, default linear or Bezier. I would say for camera movement, linear camera movements are very unnatural, because typically a camera has a weight, so it has an inertia, and linear is normally instantly on the same speed during the whole time to the end or to the next keyframe. So Bezier or spline interpolation is normally the better way to go.
Yeah, Sharon also asked, I know if you could show this, that'd be great, Jonas, how to set the keyframe to linear.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just set another keyframe here. So what you can do in order to set keyframes to linear, you can see that here. So now you see that we are having Bezier curves, and we can simply select them, and then we just push this little button here, and this will make everything linear.
Is there another, is that the only way you can do that, is in the timeline?
No, you can also default this. So it is, where is it? I think it's in the project settings. If you go to
Key interpolation.
Key interpolation.
Key interpolation, exactly. So here you can simply set it to linear or even to step if you want to just block out stuff. And this is where you set the default for the keyframe interpolation.
And that's just for this file. So every time you make a new key in this file, it'll be that interpolation. That's very cool.
Yeah. So if you want to have that in all of your projects, you would have to set it to linear and then go to window customization and save as default scene. This way you can have linear interpolation in all of your new projects.
Yeah, be careful.
And when you select something in the timeline, in terms of keyframes, you get attribute manager information where you can select also one of the three.
Exactly. You can do this. Where is it? Interpolation. Here we go. So yeah, you can change this in all areas where it's necessary. So always have a look. This is something that gets overlooked quite a lot, that every keyframe is coming with attributes. So whenever you select the keyframe, you can adjust the attributes here. You can adjust the time. You can adjust the value. All of that stuff can be done here, and even more, like setting up breakdown keys. Breakdown keys are like keyframes that are moving relative to the next and previous keyframe. So
yeah,
let me show this to you. If I set another keyframe here, and let's say I want to move the camera a little bit to the side, let me set the keyframe. So now we have a movement that is a little bit more organic because it's not a straight dolly in, but it's a little bit curvy. So now we can, let me go to dope sheet mode. We can set these keyframes here as breakdown keyframes. And now you can already see that the color of this dot here, the keyframe here, has changed. And also the color of these keyframes here has changed. And now if I move this keyframe here, you can see that whenever I release the mouse, it will just move those breakdown keyframes in relation to that. But you have to release the mouse in order to make this happen.
Very cool.
So another thing that I just wanted to show is the Dutch angle thing that that Sassi mentioned. So let me go to the protection tag and let me unlock the banking of the camera. And now I should be able to animate it. So this is where I have to do it. I have to select the camera now, go to coordinates, and now I set a keyframe for the banking here. And then here, another one like so. And now you can see that we also have a Dutch angle. So that's all possible. So as you can see, it's pretty simple to set this up, but it's also very powerful in animation. So yeah, maybe let's say you want to use this more often, but you don't want to build it from scratch every time you're using it. So what I want to do is right now, because I have the animation on here, I'm going to copy this to a new file. So here we go. Now it's in a new file, and I want to get rid of all of the animation. So let me delete all of the keyframes here and switch to my startup layout. Okay, now let's reset the coordinates for the target and the dolly, like so. You can see it's all working now. Here's the target, here's the dolly, and maybe one thing that I want to add to the target is a little bit, let's say, a circle, so that we always know where we are looking at, or where the target is. We can make this a little bit smaller, like so. Okay, cool. Now, if we want to make this available later, we have to save it as an asset. And we can bring up the asset browser here. And if we go to the create menu, there is an add objects to database. The thing is, if we want to make this whole hierarchy one asset, we have to create another null, just place everything in it and name this camera rig. And also maybe I want to adjust some of the icons here just to have a better understanding. So that's a pretty cool thing. Let me show this. If we go to Window, Customization, and then Customize Commands, we get this little window here, and we can search for everything. So we can search for the target, for example, and now we could use hey, where's the target expression here? I thought it would be here as well.
Yeah, it's weird.
Wait. Do we have that here somehow? Can we copy this? Okay, good. Then I'm going to show it with the camera rig thing itself. Let's go to target again, because here we've got the target camera. And if we select this, there's an ID down here. And if we right-click this, we can use this ID in the icon settings of any object. So we can now go to the basic tab of our camera rig and say, okay, now I want this in the icon settings here as the ID that's going to be used. And now you can see that our camera rig is now using this icon. So this is pretty cool. And yeah, let's say we want to save it as an asset as it is right now.
Sorry to interrupt. We have 10 minutes because we have to end early. Just a little heads up for you.
Yeah. If I want to save this as an asset, I just go to create now and add this to the database. Let me open up this with the cogwheel. This is our camera rig. We want to save this as the preferences. Okay, that's all good. Cool. And now we have uncategorized our camera rig that we can use whenever we want. So we can now even create a new scene. Let's say now we want to add another person here. Let's use this guy now. And we want to do some cool camera movement. That's actually a woman. Here we go. Cool. But I want to add this camera rig that we just created. So here we go. That's it. And I just double click it, and here it is. That's the cool thing about the asset browser. So you can just store whatever setup you have as a preset, so to speak, in here. And then if you double click it, it will be there, and you can reuse it. So that's a pretty cool thing. And of course, you can also share this with your colleagues, with your team, with your friends, and with your family, if you want to. All right, do we have questions?
Thanks.
I mean, that was a lot of talking for me.
It was also
brilliant.
a lot of showing, which
I
was
didn't expect it to be that long, but
Was nice. Is anyone able to answer the question about Redshift and how to exclude an object in the Cryptomatte AOV? I would think it's not possible, or? Because it would be rendered.
I also think that's not the. Well, my understanding of the Cryptomatte is that it's creating a mat for every single object, and then you use it in the compositing software to like set up your mats.
Exactly, and I believe that the idea is if I take a foreground object out of the Cryptomatte, I have maybe the mask for a background object then visible. That's an assumption. I don't know if that is the real question, but typically one render pass will give you all, and to exclude one and have that in the original beauty render is obviously not possible. Darren, do you have an idea about it?
No, I would probably end up asking someone with more compositing experience than myself in Redshift. But yeah, it's yeah, there's a lot of different options for AOVs and compositing that all have sort of different purposes. But I wanted to also point out the camera crane rig. I just wanted to show that there are some preset rigs.
Do you want to grab the screen?
Yeah.
And the camera morph, not to forget.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to make you the presenter.
Yes, please, please, please. Show my screen. All
Here you
right.
go.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what do we have here? We have NC. Okay. All right. So Cinema 4D does have some other rigs in here, like the camera crane, but I'm going to start real quick with this camera morph, just because it's really easy. So I have one camera. Let's go HHH. Let's make sure that we can see our cameras. Okay, so I got one camera. That's this view, that's camera, and then I have another camera that's this one. It's a little closer. So let's say like I want to blend between the two. Camera morph is for that. So I'm going to add the, I'm going to select both cameras, and the order matters. So I'll go from the wide shot to the closer shot. I'll select in that order, and then I'll go camera morph, and it adds a new camera with the camera morph tag, and it's assigned the cameras I selected in the order I selected them. Now I have a simple slider to animate between these two cameras. And in my view, I see it as a dark blue camera, but if I hide the other cameras, we'll also see that there's actually a motion path here, that red line. So that's pretty cool. We can unfold this and add some easing to this linear slider. If you need more than two cameras, then you would use the multi-morph, and you would just drag all the cameras you wanted into that box in the order that you want to blend between them. So yeah, that's the camera morph tag, really cool. I also wanted to point out the camera crane, which I think is a really cool little feature that was added, I think, in 15, but I think it's probably overlooked a lot. So in this view, I'm going to go ahead and look through it. How are we on time? How many minutes?
4 minutes left.
4 minutes, cool. So I have
an outro to do.
I think the 4 view is important in working with the camera crane. So the top left view is like your preview monitor, right? So you want to make sure that you're looking through the camera crane in this view, and then you'll use the other views to actually selecting the crane group to sort of position it and get it to a place where you like it. Now there's a lot of great options here. So let's see, I think I want to rotate the head. No, where is it? And this is how long it's been since I have, since I've used it. So let's try the arm. So I can see as I'm fiddling with these settings, right, exactly which part is the arm. There's the height, and then we have width and height. Here's heading. There we go. That's what I wanted. So I can move the heading over, and I can, you know, increase the head height to pull it up, and you know, these parameters we can keyframe. So I just wanted to point this out because it's a you know, really really cool way to get a camera crane set up without having to build one, like with nulls. It's different from one Jonas was showing, but I still think it's cool. I wanted to point it out. So yeah,
that's a great one.
Yeah. Also posted some links to videos about this on Cineversity. So yeah, that's all.
Cool. That's great. In this case, I'm going to grab the screen back from you to wrap up. So
Alberto asked a question on where can he access info about how to use his own icons. So I think that there might be a video somewhere. So we'll try and track that down. We're running out of time, however, now to get into that, I think.
Yeah, you can, if you are in the icon settings here of any object, you can just use the 3 dots icon here and add your own icon. So yeah, that's the short answer for it, but we really have to wrap up here. So again, if you want to learn more about our free webinars, just go to our events page on the Maxon side. So here we go, maxon.net, and then you go to news events, and definitely check out the 3D motion show next week on Tuesday. There's going to be some exciting stuff in there.
Awesome line.
Again, if you yeah, came in late here or want to watch one of the other recordings, just go to our Maxon Training Team YouTube channel and you will find everything that we recorded in here. And again, the last thing, if you want to get a free t-shirt, just go to the Maxon merchandise shop, and there is a PDF in the handout section with the link and a coupon code that will allow you to just pay for the shipping. You get the t-shirt for free. You only have to pay for the shipping. Yeah, cool. That's it for today. Thanks everyone for attending. Thanks Darren, thanks Sassy, thanks Ellie for answering the questions in the background. There's been a lot. I just saw it.
Bye everybody.
Bye everyone. See you next time.
Bye everyone.
Bye. Thanks, Jonas.
Welcome.